All right, I believe we are live. So, as y'all guys know, I don't get on the video very much these days. That's mainly because Section 8 Consulting has been pretty busy. Also, if you think about the number of years I've made videos and the number of videos I've made, you'd see that you eventually you run into burnout because you teach a lot, right? Probably we're moving. Now, keep in mind that YouTube every couple of years will move 200 or 300 videos that I make. And the reason they do that is because if they weren't real popular, they'll just remove them. So I think in total, I think I've made close to 1,500 videos over the years. And so here we are. One thing I want to do is wish you guys a happy holidays for those that celebrate Christmas and New Year's. And I want to give you some updates real quick. I wish there were a few people watching right now. At least I could tell whether or not you could hear me. So if you're sitting in the background and if you could let me know that you hear me, that would be great because I've made videos before where I was unaware whether or not people could hear me. So I'm going to assume at this point that you can. So holiday updates. I'm on Christmas vacation. So for those of you that have casework or are trying to submit counties, for those of you that are working with us, I would tell you that please do be respectful of my holidays. Now, you guys know that I don't like a lot of emails or phone calls. I very rarely take vacations. Most of you don't know this. Through the pandemic, I was working 18-hour days year round, and I took no vacations. And last year, we had a number of 6 people I had to terminate their cases because they had tantrums in the middle of Christmas because they were unable to speak to me at my office. Look, let me explain something. Housing authorities have employees, and most of these housing authorities right now are closed or they're half staffed, which means there's very little that my office can do to effectively reach out to housing authorities or resolve problems regarding cases. So I would advise everybody just to try to enjoy your holidays. And then after the 25th, when Christmas happens, the office will reopen and we'll continue on. But it is pointless because I noticed almost 6 days ago that a lot of housing authorities aren't even answering the phones. They're just simply not cooperating. And this is nothing new for me, but if you're new and you're with us, just be respectful of my time because I take so very little of it, And this year, I got to say that a lot of our clients have been really good compared to last year. But I know the pandemic did bring the worst out of all of us. New Year's, we have a lot of things to consider. So let's talk about Section 8 and what we should expect for the coming year. Well, the first thing that we should consider is that we have an election coming. And I can tell you nobody on either side or any party line is favorable towards HUD at this point. There are some that'll keep it as it is, and there are others that would likely try to defund some or a great portion of it. Even the smallest amount of defunding at this point, the system has already been drained very low. So even a small fractional or marginal amount of money coming out of the federal budget for people that need to fund vouchers or have subsidies for housing would be would be a very difficult situation. It would make it impossible for a lot of housing authorities to continue to have openings and funding for new vouchers. So it won't hurt those that are already in the system, but it will make it exceptionally hard going forward. So I want to do a quick shout out to a few people here that have chimed in. Good morning, Tracy. Happy holidays. And you can hear me. I appreciate you saying that. Linda Sanders, Merry Christmas to you. Hello from Vicksburg, Mississippi. You're right next to my home state of Louisiana. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Of course, spending a good 20 plus years in Texas probably makes me a Cajun cowboy at this point. Renee Montez, happiest holidays, and I can hear you fine. Thank you for being you. Well, thank you, Renee, and Merry Christmas to you as well, and Happy New Year's. Vonda McDonald Golding, hello from Northern California. I have to say, California has really warmed my heart over the years because you tell you what, California singularly as a state has been the biggest portion of the business I do. Only second to that would be New York. And if I had to specify an area in New York, it'd definitely be the Bronx. Second to that would be the Queens. Of course, my folks out in New Jersey definitely keep me fairly busy. And Massachusetts is a hot mess, but I love you guys from out there. So all my East Coast folks and my West Coast. And for those of you from my southern states, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, even Florida, you guys keep me fairly busy as well. I definitely enjoy talking with people that I consider kind of native to my own. All right, so back to the recognitions here. Linda Thomas, hello from Detroit. Linda, good morning. And I've got a good friend out in Detroit, Michigan. She actually is in a very similar line of work that I do, but she's actually a real estate agent. KJ, hello and happy holidays, and thank you, and same to you, and happy New Year's. Alpine Glutch, happy holidays. Studio's looking great. You know, guys, how many years did I hang a king size blanket in the background? It got bad, right? You guys kept pushing me. So finally this year, I thought I'd pull out every stop because I told you I was going to do the new studio. And so you're seeing a collection of things that I've acquired over the years. And by the way, that's not a real dinosaur right there, but it looks so neat when I saw it. And so you can see I'm a collector of things that are glass, both new and old. And so this is 10 or 15 years worth of stuff and junk and stuff. But, sometimes when we do these videos, it's good for you to have something else, some other curiosities in the video rather than stare at me. For some of you that have short attention spans, maybe this will make your mind work a little better, give you something else to focus on. All right. So Linda Sanders, love me some Louisiana. You know what I'm going to be loving here shortly is a buddy of mine he moved from Louisiana out here. He made gumbo for his Christmas party, and I hired him to make me some, and I'm going to go get it this weekend because I got to tell you, you cannot own being a Cajun or a Creole or even from the Caribbeans if you don't try gumbo or etouffee. So I'm looking forward to that deeply because, in the prior years, I make my own gumbos, and it's a lot of work, 4 hours of work. But it's a lot of work, and often I make too much, and then I have nobody to give it to. Tracy looks nice. Well, I appreciate that. Now, I fiddle with this background here quite a bit. And of course, when Christmas changes, so will the background. And it'll continually evolve as you see me in videos, which is good. I think this is what we needed. It's probably a little bit too busy. I probably have a dash of hoarder in me because of all the junk I like to collect. Linda Sanders says, amen, gumbo. So gumbo for Louisiana and people is a lot like soup, except it's spicy, very tasty, and will warm you up depending on whether or not you like the full Louisiana style, New Orleans style, Trinity style. There's many styles of it. All right, so let's go back to the Section 8 update. So we're looking at 2024. The biggest point is going to be the point of election. I'm looking at that carefully to see what's going to happen. It's going to affect current cases, and it's going to affect cases going in the future, depending on what happens. So we'll be keeping a careful eye on that. For most of you that have had casework for a while through our office, I'm going to tell you that we're up for a new federal budget, so that means things are fixing to get really, really good. I know we've had a exceptionally high number of offer vouchers throughout the month of December. Though there's little funding, they're making great offers, and that's because we're in preparation of the new year. And so I'm expecting a lot of cases will resolve. I know this month that our office has seen at least a minimum of 71 people in some form or another receive housing or a voucher. So December was a pretty awesome month. For some of you, it wasn't. Many of my cases does not revolve around people getting vouchers, but really situations where it's turned bad between the landlord, or there's a lack of cooperation, or other issues, harassment or discrimination directly with the housing authority. So we see a wide range of issues. And one other thing I want to bring up is we have partnered with a law firm out of New York, and we're now processing clients as well from out of there. Now, most of the clients we're processing are going to be of the Russian descent and Ukrainian. Now, these I want you to keep in mind. These aren't necessarily refugees. Now, I know a lot of people, oh, you come over here from the war, maybe from Israel or Ukraine, you're stealing everybody's voucher. No, these people are actually seeking something a little bit different and would not affect the same system that most Americans are already in, unless these people already had some type of permanent residency. So, two different things. Kathleen, NTI, happy holidays, and happy holidays to you. So again, guys, I want to remind you, my office is closed. I'm not going to process paperwork. I'm not going to call housing authorities. I'm not going to return calls. I'm not going to return emails. That is over. we're not going to do anything until December 26th, unless you are the attorney's office we are partnered with. Or the secondary thing is, I'm taking limited consultations with new clients, and that's mainly because 13 days off for vacation is a lot, but I needed it. But it's also to keep my mind a little bit busy. So for those of you who are new that are booking consults, I'll still be accepting a limited number of those sporadically from now till Christmas. But other than that, I'm not going to work through the holidays. I have family flying in, some of which I've not seen for a long time. And if any of y'all can remember any Christmas that I actually took off in the recent years, you'll see that I have not. Linda Sanders says, what states do your lawyers represent? Well, we're partnered with several attorneys in their primary states like California, New York, and there's a few up the East Coast. Now, keep in mind that attorneys can be licensed to practice in multiple states. Now, we have loose relationships, or we have agreements with other attorneys here and there through the West Coast and some of the southern states. So I'm not going to do a full disclosure in this video, but you can reach out to my office to see whether or not effectively our attorneys are partnered with us in a state that you are in, and whether or not our office could be helpful to you. Beyond that, I want to tell you that now here's the end of year warning I give every year, and I've been given for nearly 15 years, is that if you're considering housing and you're thinking about what you're going to do, or whether or not you're going to get a voucher, or whether or not housing is good for you, or whether you're ashamed to even try, I'm going to tell you this. You've got a limited number of months left. We have a golden period, and then we have a very bad period of time in which the amount of people the amount of people that need vouchers increases to an untenable number. So right now, we got the rest of December, January, February, March, April. That's what you got, 5 months. After we leave April, then what's going to happen is the number of people that want these vouchers is going to steadily increase till it becomes impossible through the summer. As you know, in the summer, I do very little business because we're at the height of too many people. And then housing authorities are very smart. They'll open during the months when the demand drops to its lowest, and they will close during the summer when it's chaos and there's too many. Okay. So those are considering, now would be a good time to start your casework. You're starting later than the end of January, and then you're looking at a case that could resolve itself in the middle of summer. You don't want that. So I'm going to tell you, if you're thinking about casework or working with our office, you better hit the gas shortly after Christmas, because you really, really do not want to end up in a situation where you're still struggling with the system, get a housing voucher or housing, and then land in the middle of summer. Because let me tell you, people are a lot like butterflies and animals. We like to get out there and do the things when it's sunshiny and pretty, and I don't know why. And during the Christmas, the demand for housing and vouchers drops off a cliff to virtually nobody, to where there's virtually nobody wants to try to move. And the reason we get such a high results in December is because nobody's trying to move. People are trying to spend their money on Christmas and their family. So nobody's trying to move. Nobody's trying to deal with the housing authority and all that. So December and January, February and March and April are excellent months. But the closer we get to April, the more difficult. So we'll reach the height of this at the end of January. So whatever you're going to do, whatever you're going to decide, you better do it by the end of January. That way you have a stable way to work. And the other thing is, guys, we need to consider again with the new election. You know, new election cycles, it means they change policies, procedures, and also the new federal funding. But whoever's in that office can defund. And if that happens, it could be a really spectacularly shitty year. It could be a really bad 4 years. We don't know yet, but you can bet I'll be all over it. So anyways, I think that's some of the things I want to convey. Now, this is this will be your last opportunity for a couple of days to ask questions. So if you have questions relating to your housing, Section 8 or so on, now would be a good time to address that here in a live video. If you're shy, then just take a sip of bourbon and say what you got to say. It's not like you're sitting in my office. All right, Linda Thomas goes on to say, I'm a landlord. I'm having difficulty getting a tenant. Posted on some of the popular websites, and within 3 days, my property was vandalized. I've since done repairs and now afraid to market again. Miss Thomas, I'm not quite clear about where you're marketing. Now, people that tend to do that type of thing to vandalize, that's going to be somebody closer into your neighborhood than you might imagine, and that may be why that happened. I would advise that maybe Facebook Marketplace may be a better way to do this. And I think that potentially whoever did that likely would be a fairly close neighbor, because it seems rather personal to vandalize a home. Somebody that didn't, the only way this would affect anybody is if they lived close by. So rather than you being spooked or scared, I would suggest that you could do that, or you can get referrals directly from the housing authority, or you could reach out to other agencies like Continuum of Care, CES, or HUD-VASH, or if you want veterans. That way, there's direct referrals without marketing. But it sounded like a neighbor got you. Linda Sanchez says, I signed up for Marissa Fudge Facebook to keep up with the changes. I got to tell you, one thing I'm really, really going to miss is Marissa Fudge. Since she's been in charge of HUD. Now, keep in mind, let's make a distinguish. Let's distinguish two things here. Your local housing authority are not the feds. Your local housing authority is not HUD. Housing authorities are privately owned, or they're owned by the city. That means they're at state or county level or privately owned. They have nothing to do with HUD. HUD is just a federal administrator of federal funds, and they're there if there's problems with the housing. In other words, they police the housing authorities. Marissa Fudge is the person that heads up that HUD, and that lady for 4 years has been on a rampage. She has sued, indicted, and thrown more people in prison. And what I mean by that is I can count over 300 housing authorities in one way or another that she has stormed a building and has pretty much sued or thrown in prison for egregious behavior. That's more than from one lady than the entire history that housing authorities have likely existed under any other administration. She is a machine, and she has worked for the people. She's worked greater for the people and those that are voucher holders than any other person that's ever run HUD. I hope, for my sake and my client's sake, that she's able to continue to operate HUD longer, because she's the very reason why a lot of housing authorities are cleaning up a lot of the shady things that happen and things they do. If you look at prior videos going back, you'll see not a couple of months ago we were discussing two housing authorities that embezzled $30 million to the point that they had stolen all the money. The housing authority took and diverted the money. They stole all the money, and there was nothing. The building, they're insolvent. There was not a penny left. They literally ran the housing authority as a pyramid scheme, and now there's no money left. And so this is why we need people like Marissa Fudge in there, because she'll go over there, she'll storm the building with feds, she'll indict all their asses, and then she will shut down the housing authority, sue whoever needs to be sued. And so she has been instrumental in helping those that receive and utilize vouchers. All right, so moving on from there. Linda Santa goes on, yes, she has, and I see that. Well, guys, I've enjoyed talking with you guys. I'm gonna keep it short today, and I'm heading into town. I'm hoping to make another video, but again, guys, one of the reasons I don't make a lot of videos these days is, one, I've made a video regarding almost every topic. Number two, I'm suffering a little bit of burnout with videos, and I have been for about a half a year. You're going to make these things 10 or 15 years. First thing that's going to happen is you're going to run out of topics. Two, it takes a lot of work to get these videos up and running. And I'm not even using half the stuff I used to, including editing software. These days, I like to go live because it requires less. I've already got an instant background. There's me, and I don't have to do a lot of editing because, to be frank with you, I've got a pretty heavy caseload. And so those days of me sitting in the office, twiddling my thumbs have been over a long time. Well, guys, I want you to enjoy your Christmas, and I want you to enjoy your New Year's, and we'll see y'all in about a week or two, and then we'll discuss how to deal with 2024. And I think some of the first topics, as we have to renew a lot of the topics we talk about, are going to be seniors and those that are disabled, and how that might play out for 2024. Okay. All right, guys, enjoy your day. Bye-bye.